Teacher 3 from DepEd Bulacan. Welcome to Project Sagip Mananalytics for everyone. And before that, let me share to you the goals of this organization. By promoting the culture of research to all people, ETCOR aims to contribute to improving the society through academic inquiries and in realizing that people conduct research for the ultimate goal of serving the Almighty through service of others. Now, staying true to its mission to help researchers love and embrace the culture of research and responding to the challenge that education must continue despite the presence and threat of the COVID-19 pandemic. ETCOR Educational Research Center located in Santa Ana, Pampanga, Philippines has launched two projects, namely, first, we have Project Sagip Mananaliksik for Everyone, and the second one is Project Sagip Mananaliksik One-on-One. The details of the said projects are as follow. First one, Project Sagip Mananaliksik for Everyone. Under the Project Sagip Mananaliksik for Everyone, ETCOR's research consultants who are composed of various research experts from the different parts of the country and are immersed in the conduct and teaching of research from various levels. So like basic education and also higher education institutions are serving as volunteer speakers. It could be like lecturers, it could be moderators in a series of free webinars on quantitative and qualitative research, which are open not only for us teachers and professionals, but also for students. This project is an acknowledgement of the fact that DepEd needs partners from the private sectors or private groups that share the same mission and aspiration for the Filipino learners to have quality, relevant, and accessible education, even in the time of pandemic. The series of webinars under this project are in support and on argumentation to DepEd's different learning delivery modalities. The series of webinars are being delivered via online platforms with public and private school students and teachers audience coming from different parts of the country. The webinars video recordings are also uploaded in the ETCOR's YouTube channel and Facebook page to accommodate to those audience who will not be able to attend the webinars. And of course, our overall project coordinator for Project Mananaliksik for Everyone is Dr. Bernadette L. Lejarte. Next one, the second one is we have Project Sagip Mananaliksik or One-on-One. So under this project, ETCOR's research consultants and other research enthusiasts and benefactors are individually adapting one senior high school learner from ETCOR's list of students beneficiaries and from which the former are expected to assist latter for free in their senior high school research journey, either via coaching and or provision of financial aid to help them in their expenses related to research. ETCOR has set requirements for students who would like to apply as student beneficiaries under the said project. This project is an acknowledgement of the fact that research should not only teach people to be intellectual persons, but should develop in them the value of extending their assistance, no matter how little that might be. For other people, especially during time of uncertainty. And of course, the overall project coordinator for Project Mananaliksik One-on-One is Dr. Adrian Lawrence P. Carvajal. So let's give them a virtual clap. And of course, our head research consultant of ETCOR, we have Dr. Richard D. Sanchez. So let's give them a virtual clap. Now, we would also like to acknowledge all the national consultants, regional coordinators, provincial coordinators, division coordinators, city coordinators, and of course, all ETCOR research consultants. And to start our program, our webinar for today, May I ask Dr. Maria Corazon, D. Segismundo, CPA, Dean of College of Business and Entrepreneurship and Accountancy of La Consolacion University, Philippines, to give a welcome message. Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, we cannot hear you. Hello po. Naririnig po ba si ma'am sa inyo po? Hello, everyone. Naririnig niyo po si
Hindi
Ma'am
po, sir.
Corazon?
Hello,
Koy,
sir. Hindi ko
gamit
narinig.
niyo po ba iPhone? Remove niyo po yung laptop. I-remove niyo po yung earphone niyo
Walang
po.
sounds po.
Gamitin niyo na lang po yung speaker ng laptop mismo.
We
Wala
could
pa po po, Koy.
we
Wala pa.
cannot still hear you po, ma'am. There's still no sound po, ma'am. No sound. Still po. You could try to use a different earphone po, ma'am, or headset. So while we are waiting po to ma'am, a while ago I said we have two projects in ETCOR, especially to new members or viewers of this organization. A while ago I said we have Project Mananaliksik for everyone, and also we have Project Sagip Mananaliksik one-on-one. And then while we are waiting for mom, I would just like to I will just share my screen again. So while we are waiting po, so for your information, our organization has Twitter account. We have Facebook as well. We have Instagram account and a YouTube account. So if you please just follow our account so that you will be updated for the information. So at at the moment we have 14 followers in Twitter. In our Instagram we have 42 followers, and our Facebook we have 6,447, and our YouTube account we have 591 subscribers. Hello po, ma'am. Okay na po, Ma'am Koy. Hello, Ma'am Koy. Okay. Okay po. So, let's proceed na po to the next part of this webinar. Okay, so this is actually the third day for our webinar in qualitative research. So living, loving, and exploring doing qualitative research as an avenue to meaningful existence. And these are the webinar etiquettes that we need to follow. Turn off your microphone, stay on mute, may or may not open your camera, but if can open, please open. Use as identification the acronym of your institution and your last name and first name, for example, like this. And questions or other thoughts may be typed in the chat box to be entertained after the talk. Now, to let me introduce our speaker for today. He graduated Bachelor of Arts in the Communication with an area of specialization in broadcast journalism at Holy Angel University. He then pursued professional education units at Mabalacat City College to become a licensed professional teacher. He also completed the degree Master of Arts in Education major in English at Tarlac State University. Currently, is writing his dissertation in the degree Doctors of Education major in Educational Management at the same university. Upon joining DepEd, he became an active learning facilitator, demonstrator, and research speaker at different seminars, workshops, trainings, and conferences in the school, division, region, and international level in the field of English language teaching, communication, and research. He's an active member of different international organizations and also received various certifications, not only here nationally, but also internationally. Now, let me welcome you, our research speaker for today, Master Teacher 1, English and School Research Coordinator in Angeles City National High School, Mr. Adrian P. Tamayo, LPT MAEd. Let's give him a virtual clap.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening po.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
All right, there you go. Well, first and foremost, I would like to thank ETCOR for giving me the opportunity in partaking in this project that is beneficial not only to faculty members but also to our students, whether in the senior high school or college. I would like to give thanks to the project leaders, Sir Adrian Lawrence and Ma'am Bernadette Lejarde, and our head research consultant, Sir Richard Sanchez. Thank you so much. And for this evening, I am tasked to share to you regarding qualitative research, particularly in literature review. And with your kind indulgence, Sir Kevin, I would like to, if you could allow me to share my screen.
Yes po, sir.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Right. So I just wonder which part do you see? Are we good with the slide?
Yes, sir. It is on framing your research problem and learning from others.
All right. Okay. There you go. Well, just like what I've mentioned a while ago, I am given the task to tackle about the literature review, and I do hope that this presentation will be beneficial to our live audience and in the future, because we will be uploading this video, and I know that many other faculty members, particularly in the senior high school, and also the students will be able to view this via the official YouTube of ETCOR. So to begin with, I would like to share to you the target competencies that we have, which are aligned with the most essential learning competencies in the Department of Education. These are originally four, but I have omitted the other one, which is citing the sources using standard format, because I'll be including that in my next presentation this coming webinar. So I opted to choose select relevant literature, then synthesizes information from relevant literature and writes coherent review of literature. And for our students to be able to master these competencies, our session objectives for this evening include defining literature review and studies, then identify the types of literature reviews and studies, and then apply techniques in writing our literature review and studies. If you have noticed, I am actually separating literature review and then also review of studies. And there is a reason why we are actually drawing a demarcation line between the two. So to begin with, and to have a little bit of participation from the audience, I would like to ask for your kind indulgence to participate, answer, or share your insights. I'm pretty much sure you are familiar with the KWL chart, which is know, want, and learn. So let us start by answering the first question, which is, what do you want to know about our topic? Because, what do you know? Because I am sure that many of us here have already attended so many webinars regarding literature review. So if you could actually share to us this evening what you already know about our topic, you may use the chat pane to make it simple. We have a chat pane here, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to see the chat anyway, but I would like you to please share your answer or responses in the chat pane, and I'd like to ask for assistance from Kevin to kindly read any responses from our audience.
Yes, sir. Noted po.
So first, I just want to know, what do you know regarding literature review? Any keywords or phrase regarding the topic that would give me an idea of what you already know. So basically knowing your schema or your prior knowledge about the topic. Are we receiving any response, Kevin?
Not yet, sir. Not yet. According to Mom Coy, powerhouse of research.
Powerhouse. Okay. And there's a reason for that. It is actually true that literature review is a powerhouse. Later on, we'll tackle why it is a powerhouse.
Sir Kevin,
Any-
si Richard
Yes po.
po. Pwede pong yung sagot ni Doc Koy, try niyo po kung if she can elaborate on that para at the same time po matest na rin natin if nag-work yung audio niya para mamaya after.
Okay po.
Yeah.
Ma'am Coy, would you like to elaborate your answer about powerhouse of research? Hello, Ma'am Coy.
Do you hear any responses from her? I don't hear
Wala pa rin
anything.
daw pong audio. I think she still have a problem with her audio. Another answers po, synthesis of previous studies according to Angel Hamoral.
All right. Synthesis, that's definitely part of the literature review. Anyone else? I think I could see here from Sir Adrian Carvajal to join scholars in the discussion of a topic. Then another is standing on the shoulder of giants. Well, that's true. Okay. Now I'm seeing the powerhouse. RRL is the source of all that there is in the study. Do we have senior high school students on board, Sir Kevin?
I'm not sure po, sir, but let us ask them po.
Yeah, I do hope they do not hesitate in participating in our activity or session for this evening. They are free, no? Anyway, hindi naman tayo nag-grade dito. They can share. Okay, we have here from ETCOR. I think ETCOR is Sir Richard. Nag-jump na siya sa what do you want to know. Sabi niya, what I want to know, what is the difference sa paggamit ng RRL kapag quali and paper. All right, I'll take note of that, Sir Richard. Then seeking to link your study to previous study, that's true. And then identifying gaps. Next, that's fine, sir. Okay, can we jump to that? What do the audience would like to know about literature review in qualitative research? Okay. So nauna na si Sir Richard. Sabi niya gusto niyang malaman ang difference ng literature review in qualitative and quantitative. Well, basically, I'll be tackling both, and then at the end of the session, draw the line. So what is the difference between qualitative and quantitative? Yeah. So siguro, okay, probably the others are just para bang shy to share, no? I want to know what year is included in the RRL. Okay, I'll take note of that. Francis? Okay, later on, probably we can address that in our Q&A. We have our Q&A. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and proceed to our session proper. No? So what is literature review? When we talk of literature review, these are basically examining relevant sources, which includes books, newspapers, magazines, and scholarly articles. If you have noticed, I have also included newspaper and magazines. So we are not only confined with books, no, with journal articles. No, we also consider newspaper, magazines, sometimes even court orders. Well, it really depends on the field that you are conducting a study. Also, literature review is a consolidation of key ideas. You consolidate key ideas and also evaluate available literature regarding your topic. That is actually what is meant when you say in view of the research. And another, conducting a literature review is doing an overview of the aspects of your topic, especially in social science, because in social science, there are variables or concepts that needs to be defined clearly and make them measurable, particularly in quantitative, because there are concepts in social science which cannot be measured quantitatively. No? Then also, if you are doing your literature review, it is your way as a researcher to demonstrate to your readers on how your topic fits to the larger field of the study. So where is the position of your paper? No, in literature review, this is where you actually put the angle or the uniqueness, the research value of your paper. So there are also ways on how we use literature review. First, others would actually start particularly in academic research, no? Because in depth ed we have action research. In academic research, for you to determine whether your topic is actually worth studying, you actually begin by doing literature review right away. That's why you do it in advance. No? Others would actually determine kung what is your title, agad silang ganon, particularly in graduate school, because professors are assuming that you have already made your readings prior to giving your titles or topic. Then another is to gain insights regarding the topic of interest. The reason I mentioned about action research, because in action research, which is qualitative in approach. Now, when we talk about of approach, it's principles or philosophy, because in action research, you start by merely looking at what you observe right away, immediately. So you tend to have this subjective observation of yours, which you determine as the topic or problem for your study, and then you do the literature study. So ganun siya. Sa academic research, you begin with literature study prior to determining which topic you will be studying. Sa action research kasi, which is qualitative or subjective in nature, so you start by observing your immediate situation. And also, one of the use of literature review is to consider which appropriate research questions that you should ask or answer in your study. Because there are researchers who just actually ask questions based on what actually pops out from their mind. So if a question do not merit to be answered, you do not just right away include that in your study, but you consult other papers, particularly journals in their recommendation part, to see if these questions are actually what we call gaps that needs to be filled in. Ganon ang literature review. So there are forms of literature review according to Creswell. We have the integrative review, theoretical review, and methodological review. When we talk about of integrative review, basically, these are looking into thesis and dissertations or journals, then trying to summarize them in a way wherein they are grouped or classified based on their themes. No, in quantitative research, kasi they classify or summarize this literature review based on the variables that are being studied until such you are able to find a mediating variable which you may consider as a gap in the future. And then another is what we call theoretical review, which is basically very true in academic research. Sabi nila, when you conduct a research, you are contributing in the field. So saan ka nagko-contribute? This is actually in a way of trying to prove, support, or contest an existing theory that explain a certain phenomenon. Let's say if mas magaling na leader ang babae kaysa sa lalaki pagdating sa education. So perhaps we have a theoretical or a conceptual framework that we anchored on by having that claim. So if other researchers would want to object that, they review all theories and then conduct their own study to either support or negate yung ating mga existing theories. That is what we call theoretical review. That is why we have on our papers, particularly po sa quantitative study, we have theoretical frameworks or conceptual framework, which is not present naman sa qualitative. In qualitative kasi, you do not begin with a theory. It is actually more of a output of a qualitative study. And then another is methodological review. Basically, we also look into the methodologies that are utilized in conducting a study on certain field of interest, because we have to see if it is really scientifically done. Sometimes there are methods which are, if you will critique them, that is what we call the critique to the methodology, that you can, whenever you replicate, you add a step in the method, no? Sa replication kasi, when we talk about of replication, this is not only about repeating the study, but rather improving the method. These are usually true in experimental studies. Ganun siya sa methodological review. If merong flaws ang methods or methodology na ginamit, you replicate it and then improve the methodology para mas maging reliable yung findings ng study na ni-replicate mo. Then another is related literature. When we talk about of related literature, a while ago, I did mention that I was separating related or literature review and review of studies, because when we talk about of related literature or literature review, we are focusing on the content. When we talk about of content, basically definition, usually conceptual definition of our variables. Also, we include theories, history of variables or yung concepts, no? Sometimes what are the issues and concerns between variables, between or among variables. We also include that in our literature review. And then etymology. This is very true in quantitative because we really have to define what we mean when we do our literature review. Just like what I've mentioned a while ago, this is particularly very true in social science. Because in social science, there are concepts which cannot be directly measured quantitatively. Kumbaga, hindi sila directang measurable and observable. Instead, we conceptualize. Yung tinatawag nating process of conceptualization, and then we operationalize the concepts for us to be able to define or measure ang mga variables or concepts sa quantitative, na doon pumapasok din yung mga indicators. For instance, if we are talking about of economics, no, if we define economics and try to measure the economy of our country, we cannot directly measure economy of a country unless we operationalize and determine indicators that would contribute to the concept of economy. That includes GDP, ganyan. So same with yung halimbawa kung if you are poor or rich, others would actually always claim that they are poor, but how poor is poor? So therefore, we have to determine ano ba talaga ang kumbaga definition or level or indicators of being a poor. So yun yung reason why I am drawing the line between literature review and related studies. So when we talk about of review of studies, we are focused on data, findings, no, and also methodologies. So in this area of interest, what was already done so far in the topic of your interest. So yun yung part na tinitignan mo, ano na yung mga naging findings. Are they contradicting? Are they agreeing? Yan. Tapos yung methodology, you also see if the methodology is not flawed. Otherwise, you will question the findings if the methodology is flawed. Pag merong mali sa methodology or parang merong lapse sa methodology, basically yung findings of that study is not simply reliable. Ganun siya. So when you write your related studies, if you see here, these are elements for at least for beginning, no, beginning writers in our senior high school. You always look for these elements, yung author, yung year published, the title, the objective of the study, the methodology, the salient findings, and the conclusion. When you say conclusion, how is the reviewed study related to your paper? So if you could see here my example, which I actually lifted from my own thesis, you see here that the title of my study is about hypertext writing skills and the quality of academic essays of select senior high school students, which is a correlational study. My assumption is good ICT skills improve the quality of essays of students. And one of the studies that I have reviewed is the study of Rana and Tuba in 2015. So what I'm trying to drive at in showing this example is the elements that I was actually referring a while ago in related studies. At least you should show the author, the year of publication, the objective of the study, and then the methodology. When you talk about of methodology, this may include the method of data collection, the method of data analysis, the sampling size as well, and then the findings. When you talk about the findings, it should be only the salient findings, because a study may have a lot of findings that are which are not related to your paper. So you should at least highlight only the salient finding that is related to your paper, and then the conclusion, you should then now some sort of do some a synthesis on how your paper is similar and different to your reviewed study. So there are steps in writing literature review. This is a step that I lifted from Scriber because this is a very student-friendly website which I recommend. No? There are 4 steps. We have to first do the searching. When you say searching for relevant literature, just merely looking for related literature. So you do not immediately read them. Just look at the title, then you collect them. Then as soon as you are done in collecting, you then try to evaluate. No? Actually, you evaluate your collected literature review or relevant literature, and then select which sources are useful to your paper or not. And then you identify, as soon as you have selected your sources, you identify your paper based on themes or arguments or gaps. So you organize them, and then you start outlining the literature review. So let us dig to that deeply. When we talk about of literature in searching for relevant literature, literature does not refer to the one that we read like Romeo and Juliet. Here in this context, literature refers to academic materials, which can be found either in Google Scholar, other research websites such as PubMed, Science Direct, or Scopus. We have the DOAJ or the Directory of Open Access Journals, wherein you can search for websites that offers free access to existing or published journals, published research journals. And then also, when we talk about of evaluating and selecting your sources, this is where you check the abstract and the references to see if the paper that you have collected is relevant to your paper or not. Otherwise, you should discard it. Also, you have to look into the recommendation of the paper, because sometimes in the recommendation, it supports your assumption or hypothesis that your topic should be studied. And then also, when you evaluate and select sources, definitely, unless your topic is super niche, no, you cannot read everything on the net. Usually kasi the problem among students is they try to read everything on the net. So what you have to do is just focus on your variable so that you wouldn't be wasting your time when you do your collection and selection of sources. And then as soon as you have already determined the related or useful sources for your paper, of course, you have to read them. And as you read them, you identify them or group them according to themes, the argumentation that they actually provide, the pros and cons that are which are related to your paper. Then the gaps. When we say the gaps, an area that is not yet studied. No? Let's say if we are talking about academic performance of students, and they say that gender is related to academic performance, but kunyari, no studies yet have been considered to that would relate socioeconomic status to academic performance. Therefore, conducting a study on the relationship of socioeconomic status and academic performance would merit, no? And that socioeconomic status as variable is a gap to your paper. So something like that. So basically, when you identify the trends and patterns, you also include din yung theory, the methods, the findings in doing this. So as soon as you are done in organizing these themes and patterns of your paper, you then start doing your outline. Before you write, no, so that you will be guided when you write, you have to outline your literature review. And there are 4 approaches. When we say 4 approaches, these include chronological, thematic, methodological, and theoretical. Chronology, so from the older to recent studies, you can present your paper that way. Another is you can present your paper based on the variables or themes that they have already tackled. Let's say if all of these papers are tackling about gender and academic performance, you discuss them in one paragraph. Then another paper are talking about personality and academic performance, you discuss that in another paragraph. So you can present your literature review in that way. Another is methodology. When you talk about of methodological approach, you write your literature review based on the methodologies or research designs that were utilized in conducting a study in this topic. And then how is your method provides a new perspective in conducting a study on that certain topic. Then another is yung theoretical. Basically, when you do this, you anchor on the existing theories for you to have a contribution in the field, no, the area of expertise ng researcher. So this is actually true in quantitative research. So granting that you are done in outlining your literature review, whatever approach you will use in doing your literature review, then you start writing. Richard Kaplan always actually proposed a linear model of writing, which includes introduction, body, and conclusion or the closing. In this context, when we talk about of introduction, usually depende sa format ng institution kung saan ka nag-research. We have the APA 6 or the IMRAD model wherein they integrate literature review and introduction. So when we talk about of introduction, you provide a background of your paper. Background of your paper that would merit or that would identify the gap in your study, and then that gap would actually serve as your justification that you really need to conduct this study. Then you proceed in introducing the body, which includes the summary and synthesis of your related studies or related literature. And then in the closing, you then position what will be the research value of your paper. So let's say if there is a limit in the study regarding socioeconomic status and academic performance, that is where your paper contributes. So doon sa closing part ng paper mo, doon mo siya i-highlight that would merit your conduct of the study. So let's talk about this literature review, qualitative versus quantitative. This is according to Creswell, Edmondson, and McManus. No? Simply put, when we talk about of quantitative methods, we utilize, it contains variables which are numerical. Yeah. We measure them numerically. Ganun ang quantitative. Kumbaga, in a nutshell, And when we talk about of qualitative methods, we utilize them when the research contains our variables based on words or meanings. Ganun ang qualitative. So, ang ibig sabihin, each method's goals and procedures are quite different when it comes to qualitative and quantitative. Because the difference in goals and procedures of these two methodologies, meaning it drives differences on how a research paper's introduction and literature review should be written. So if you could see here in the section, we have the introduction and literature review. When we talk about of qualitative, according to Creswell, can begin with a quotation from one of the informants. Kaya nga, ang qualitative is a open-ended, emerging design. Ibig sabihin, ang title mo, ang paper mo, even your research questions, apparently, are not yet finalized. Kasi there will be times that as you go along with your data collection, your informants would actually mention something about a certain phenomenon that you did not actually include in your paper, but since your informants are always or are keep on mentioning about that, you might consider including that in your paper. Unlike in quantitative, it's actually structured. Close na siya. Kaya nga, I don't know if you have already heard this, when you craft a qualitative study, mabilis. Bakit mabilis? Kasi ano siya, open-ended nga siya, and it is subject for changes. Pero ang mahirap kay qualitative is data analysis dahil napaka-rich ng data na kinukuha. As compared to quantitative, no, mahirap ang formulation, pati yung pagdi-design mo ng instrument mo. May validation, may reliability testing, matagal. Pero as soon as you are done with that, mabilis na ang data analysis kasi structured na, ganun ang punto doon. So when you do your introduction, no, sa qualitative, no, just like what I've mentioned, you may start from a quotation from the informants, a quotation that is very striking or unique related to your topic, either from a first person or third person viewpoint, and you write in an inductive style, specific siya. As compared to quantitative, you actually start by presenting variables in an impersonal viewpoint, kaya nagiging deductive style siya. Sa literature review naman, qualitative is a nascent study, which means it is explorative in nature, and ang ibig sabihin nun, if you are conducting a study or literature review rather, you cannot simply find immediate studies that is related to your topic. Possible na hindi mo dapat muna i-quantitative yon. Kasi hindi pa siya fully explored, hindi pa siya matured. Kasi sa quantitative, usually when you conduct a study and you see a lot of literature regarding your topic, usually matured study na yon, you may consider conducting quantitative study then. So, ang punto doon, when you do your literature review, no, that is very important also in the aspect on which methodology you will employ in conducting a study regarding to your topic. So yun ang line na nagdodraw sa ating literature review ng qualitative and quantitative. Sa literature review ng qualitative, you cannot, usually if you do not find a lot of literature or related studies sa iyong paper, meaning you're on the right track, no? Kasi explorative ka. Pagka naman masyado ka ng maraming nakikitang related studies regarding your topic, tapos gusto mo mag-qualitative ka, most probably hindi na appropriate yon. That is actually very true when you are especially trying to study a new phenomenon na hindi pa gaanong nare-research. So yon ang ating literature review when it comes to qualitative study. So may I hear from the audience because I cannot see you right now. May I hear kung ano ang insights ang nakuha natin sa ating lecture for this evening?
Hello, sir.
Yes po.
This is Richard po. Personally, you're not yet done pa naman, no, sir? Kumbaga, you're just asking yung sa part ng session that we gained, no? Tama po ba?
Actually, I am done and gearing up towards to Q&A na, sir.
Okay po, sir. Sige po. Ako personally, sir, I appreciate the part wherein you talk about the outline of literature review, like there is wherein we can do the thematic or chronological and others. At least sabi ko nga kanina dun sa chat, at least hindi siya ba kapag binasa mo yung related lit ng mga estudyante mo kaya yung mismong sayo ay hindi ba siya sabog or hindi strike anywhere na hindi na nila alam paano mo pinresent yung related literature mo, kung ano na lang naisip mo yun na lang nilagay mo. At least yung naka-outline siya, alam mo. And I presume, sir, yung mga ganoon ay nagagamit sa specific type of research, no? Kung kumbaga if you can also share with us kailan usually ginagamit ang outline na chronological dapat o kailan ang dapat ang thematic ang presentation, kailan ang methodological if I'm not mistaken, at kailan ang theoretical. But I appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much po.
Usually they could be combined. They could be combined. Okay pa po ba yung audio ko? Medyo nako-conscious ako sa kasi kanina nag-off
Yes
ang
po.
camera.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You could actually usually combine, let's say yung chronological, if you are trying to replicate an old study, sir, di ba mayroong mga study na 10 years ago kasi kanina, how many years ang tanong niya, no? Usually, studies that are conducted 10 years ago, we do not consider them because there might be another truth na when it comes to that topic. Kaya what is true today may not be true tomorrow, especially if it is already after 10 years. So if after 10 years, wala kang nang makitang study na bagong data regarding to your topic of interest, so you can consider replicating that by reviewing its method, improve mo yung method, yung sample size, and then yung mga previously na conduct na, sir, kung merong variables na silang kinandak at possible baka may makita ka pang bagong variable that necessitates the conduct of the study, pwede yung ganun, sir. So kung quantitative, pwede rin yun, sir. Pag qualitative, pwede rin yon if you are trying to highlight na wala pang gaanong studying na conduct sa ganitong topic. Ganun siya. Yung theoretical, quantitative yan madalas, sir, kasi we do not really include theoretical framework and conceptual framework in qualitative. I don't know if you agree with me kasi merong mga, especially sa universities, they do not agree to that na walang theoretical or conceptual framework ang qualitative. But based from what we have already learned, walang theoretical or conceptual framework ang qualitative because you are in explorative mode, no? That would contribute to the formulation of theory. Kaya nga inductive ang qualitative study. It is a theory building research, especially if you are doing a grounded theory research design. Ganon siya. Anything else po from the audience? Baka hindi ko lang nakikita yung chat.
At the moment, sir, wala pa pong question. If you have questions po, just put it on the comment section po.
I don't know if you could see here, I'm sharing a template.
Yes, sir.
On my monitor.
We can see it, sir.
If you would like to para bang come up with a capsulated review, you can use this template. You cite all of the authors that you have reviewed here. Tapos kung meron silang hypothesis or meron silang theoretical framework na sinasubscribe. Then in terms of methodology, ano yung research design na ginamit nila? And then the data collection and analysis that they have used, the sampling size, the sampling design. Then ano yung mga findings ng bawat study? Then ano rin yung recommendation? Then if possible, you can also include yung reference format na mismo ng study para when you write your reference section, kaka-copy-paste ka na lang. So, kasi ang ibang student, ang problem ng ibang student, basa sila ng basa, they do not collect the bibliography right away. So, ang nangyayari, tapos na ang study, saka pa lang nila hinahanap. So, nagka-cram sila bandang huli. So, I actually recommend this template. I don't know if other schools have already done something like this, pero sa students ko, I actually share this para ma-organize nila ang kanilang literature review. Kasi alam mo, Sir Kevin, is it convenient to read the whole literature review of the manuscript of the student? Especially kung ilang group yon.
Of course not, sir.
Okay, di ba? So if you require your student, ito pedagogy na to kumbaga Sir Richard, no? If you require your student to do this, imbis na basahin mo agad yung literature review nila, look at this first. Yung ano muna, yung ito munang template na to, tignan mo ano yung mga tinignan nila. So in that way, nakaka 50% ka ng pagbasa ng literature review nila. Ganun siya.
Sir, we have a question here from Aldrich Licaros. Is it possible to have preset themes in qualitative based on the literatures due to have more population?
Hindi po it's not actually fine to be presumptuous when you conduct a qualitative study. Yun yung naging dilemma ko sa isang nakausap kong researcher, that they actually set the variables right away dun sa statement of the problem or research question nila. That is actually quantitative. Because when you review your study or when you do literature review, you'll find existing variables. These themes will actually turn into variables, di ba? So, in qualitative, ang assumption doon, kaya nga ang tawag sa ating mga respondents ay informants, di ba? Because you proceed there knowing nothing. They just inform you. Usually ganun ang approach, kaya nga you do not have a preset themes. And in terms of, I don't know if I got it correctly, sabi niya, preset themes in quali based on the literatures due to have more population. I don't know if the participant is asking for or referring to sampling or sample size, no? Pero the point here is, if there is already an existing variables, no, or preset themes, you can already conduct a quantitative study rather than doing a qualitative study. Yun ang punto doon. Kasi meron ng existing eh. Unless there is a gap na hindi pa na-explore on a certain aspect of a topic. I don't know if I have satisfied yung question. You can do a follow-up. Sir Aldrich.
Hello, Doc. Good evening. Thank you so much sa explanation for qualitative research. Actually, Doc, in our division, say for example, with respect to the experiences of teachers who develop LAS sa ating DepEd, di ba? Nag-develop sila ng LAS. Paano
Yes.
natin kukunin yung kanilang mga experiences? Or how do we consider the sample out of the 1,000 of population when it comes to experiences? Pwede ba,
Okay.
Doc, mag-present tayo ng themes, pagkatapos doon sa unahan ay sasabihin natin na others, please specify. Kasi open-ended kasi yung ating quali eh.
I understand. Yes, sir. Let's say if you do your literature reviews, sir, based on the experiences of teachers who are developing in general instructional materials, kasi kasama doon ang LAS, no?
Yes,
Kung
yes.
meron na silang experience at ma-establish mo yun, sir, you can directly go to conducting a quantitative study. Kasi basic research ang mangyayari niyan if you just want to deal with their experiences. Experience can be quantified anyway. But if you would like to go on deeply on their lived experiences, yung experience, meaning, no, it is actually appropriate to conduct an interview or a qualitative interview in, at least according to Creswell, pag live experiences phenomenology, no, 5 to 15 informants or participants, sir. Depende pa if the data is already saturated. When we say saturation level kasi, sir, pagka nag-i-interview ka, 5, tapos nag-6 ka, 7, 8, pare-parehas ng sagot until 9 participants, you do not have to proceed to the next participant kasi saturated na ang data. So doon pumapasok, sir, ang mixed method. particularly sequential exploratory approach. Yung theme na makuha mo doon sa interview mo, sir, pwede mong gawin yung instrument, research instrument, na gagawin mo siyang survey instrument to see if yung binigay or na-identify mong theme doon sa 10 tao ay totoo sa mas marami, sir. So yun ang pwede mong gawin, sir. Pero definitely, you cannot do a preset theme, sir, na hindi ka, kasi hindi tayo pwedeng mag-assume, sir, pagdating sa qualitative talaga. We really have, ang bida dyan sa quali, sir, ang teacher. Hindi yung iniisip natin kung ano yung galing sa teacher. Yun ang power ng qualitative. Giving opportunity to our informants from their subjective eyes kung ano ang view nila sa isang phenomenon. Particularly sa question mo, sir, sa development of learning activity sheets. Yan po, sir.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much for that answer. Actually, sir, nalilito po ako. Kasi in the division office, we will direct our solution to the problem. However, kung 7 lang po ang ating kukunan ng experiences through or in developing laws, how the division could solve the problem or direct the problem through its solution. Kasi in our division, hinahanap natin yung school kung saan ba talaga yung experiences na masyadong mahirap. Say, for instance, they could not sleep early or on time, they could not eat on time, or nagde-develop ito ng pressure or stress or unhealthy condition. Kasi yun yung tinitingnan, sir, throughout the division. Na kung sabihin nating saturated yung ating or kanilang responses with the 7 participants or ating sample, paano natin kaya matugunan yung mga problema ng iba, sir?
Wait lang, sir. Wala tayong control. Ito. Am I still audible? Para kasi napipindot.
Yes, sir. Yes po.
Okay. Sir, if you have heard a while ago, I have highlighted yung formulating an instrument based on the themes that you will be able to formulate from, let's say, 10 people. No? Unang-una, sir, to determine if yung talagang data, sir, na nakuha mo ay talagang reliable, doon pumapasok, sir, yung criteria kung saan pipili ka ng tamang informants or participants sa study mo, particularly in qualitative. Basically, if you are choosing your respondent or rather participant sa iyong qualitative study, yung talagang makakapagbigay ng response na kumbaga ine-expect mo, no? Or qualified sila to answer. Let's say sa instance mo, sir, sa experience nila pagdating sa last. Kasi pag sinabi nating experience, sir, sa dating, sir, ng comment mo kanina, negative agad, no? Hindi tayo pwedeng mag-assume agad na puro negative lang ang experience ng teacher pagdating sa development ng instructional material. It is also possible na positive yon. So ang punto ko lang, sir, is we have to look for informants who are qualified to the criteria that we will be setting. So let's say if we were able to collect data from those qualified informants, na-analyze natin yung qualitative data na yun, sir, nakapag-formulate tayo ng team based sa 10 tao, ito bang sinabi ng 10 taong to, sir, totoo kaya sa ibang school na mas nakakarami? Thousands, sabi mo nga, sir. Halimbawa, kung kaya ng resources natin, gawin mong instrument. Mag-develop ka po, sir, ng survey instrument based dun sa team na makukuha mo. And then pa-validate natin yung instrument, no? Pag pasado siya, then we roll out a quantitative study na same din. Possible perception ng teachers pagdating sa development of learning activity sheets. Then if your themes sa data na mas nakakarami, sir, marami ang agree, usually Likert yan, sir, no? Marami ang agree doon sa mga themes na prof mo, you can analyze then and formulate either a development plan, a solution, intervention doon sa problem na na-experience yun sa division. I don't know if I'm making sense kay sir. Si Sir, ano po anong name niya?
Hello po, Sir Aldric Licaros po, Division Coordinator, Research Division Coordinator.
Saan pong division kayo, Sir?
SDO Cotabato, Doc.
Cotabato. Isiha po, no? Opo. So yun po, Sir. I don't know if I was able to satisfy yung question mo, Sir.
Kasi sir, as far as I know, ang qualitative is not applicable for the total population. Am I right?
Yes, it is not. That's why I am only
So
referring to
only quantitative na pwede tayo makakuha ng sample to represent the total population.
Yes, tama po yun, sir.
Ang quali kasi sir is it could be narrative or through narration or experiences, or it could be reflection at the end.
Tama po
Pero
kayo, sir.
that reflection, that narrative could not represent the whole division. We cannot deny na halos lahat ng mga guro ay gumagawa ng LAS. Kaya siguro tama yung sinasabi mo na we need to develop yung quantitative na instrument just to facilitate the problem. Kung hindi man siya problem, at least alam natin yung experiences. Pero hindi ko alam kung tama ba yung term ko na experiences.
Depende, sir, kasi meron tayong tinatawag na lived experiences at saka vicarious experiences, no? Meron ding halimbawa years of teaching experience which we quantify. So ang punto ko lang, sir, kaya ako nababanggit 'yon, depende talaga ano ang objective mo dun sa study when you talk about experience. Baka lilitaw perception lang or feelings lang ng or teachers lang ang gusto nating malaman pagdating sa paggawa ng LAS, sir. So depende pa rin yun, sir, kung ano ang gusto mong malaman. So we cannot say na mali yung experience na term na ginagamit mo, sir.
Okay. Sir, thank you so much. Thank you po.
Opo. Sana nakaano yun, sir, nakadagdag sa'yo, sir.
Yes po, Doc.
Sir Kevin, si Richard po.
Yes po.
Sir Adrian, maraming salamat po. Pahingi ako ng kopya niyang yung chart mo, no. Para nga hindi tayo mahirapan na, no. At least yan, mas mabilis mo nang makikita. And then itatanong ko rin po at sharing at may tanong na rin po, Sir Adrian. Balik po tayo dun sa principle of recency, yung kanina tungkol sa number of years nung paggamit natin ng related literature and studies. Since ayun naman po ang pinaka-topic ninyo, yung tungkol sa related literature. Di po ba meron tayong yung sa tinatawag nating recency, merong mga schools or institutions that would require us, kung minsan makatsyempo ka, gusto nila 5 years lang. Minsan naman merong school na gusto nila 10 years. Correct me if I'm wrong po, ang pagkakaintindi ko, hindi naman absolute yon, di ba? Merong halimbawang yes, mahalaga na kung 5 years, kung 10 years, mahalaga na sumusunod tayo doon. Kasi nga merong mga studies na kung sobrang tagal na nila ay baka hindi na sila applicable sa kasalukuyang sitwasyon. That is basically the reason kaya we follow the principle of recency sa paggamit ng mga related literature and studies. Di po ba pero di ba sir merong exception to the rule yon? Halimbawa kung merong kasing related literature or merong mga studies na kahit na pagkatagal-tagal na sila pero sila yung mga tinatawag nating sila yung mga authority sa ganoong field. Halimbawa kung ang pinag-uusapan halimbawa between Mustakas tapos 1990, Mustakas 1990 at merong isang bagong nabasa mo, halimbawa pangalanan natin na biro lang to, no sir, halimbawa Tamayo 2021. So between Tamayo 2021 at saka Mustakas 1990, sino ang isa-cite mo? Hindi ba yung authority yung doon talaga na madalas na siya yung sinasite, ginagamit? Yun po ang pagkakaunawa ko na we follow the principle of recency, pero yun nga merong exception to the rule. May mga cases kasi na yun nga kahit na matagal na sila yung classic, sila yung authority doon. Kaya lang po sir, minsan naka-experience ako. Ito hindi sa akin personally, sa isang tinutulungan ko. As in itong Professor X sa University Y ay sobrang tigas ng pagkakaintindi niya doon sa principle of recency. Pag sinabi niyang 5 years or sabihin na nating 10 years, pag sinabi niyang 10 years, as in talaga kailangan kang sumunod dun sa 10 years. To the point na halimbawa, example lang ito, hindi kamukha talaga nung insidente. Mustakas 1990 dapat ang gagamitin niya kasi nga gusto niya talagang i-cite yung malalim na pag-aaral ni Mustakas na kailangan siya yung i-cite doon. Pero dahil 1990 siya, 90, pinapalit niya halimbawa ng Tamayo 2021. Ano po yung opinion mo doon, sir? Or tama po yung pinagawa nila? I don't know, nakakatsyempo kasi ng mga ganon. Kaya nga siguro, maliban sa'yo, Sir Adrian, gusto ko rin tanungin yung mga expert natin dito, lalo na yung mga nagtuturo sa mga university, sa mga graduate school. Ano ba talaga yung practice regarding that one? Kasi may nakakatsyempo tayo ng parang napakatigas ng pagtingin nila doon. Pag sinabing ganito, ganito talaga, by hook or by crook, 10 years dapat ang gawin mo. Thank you po.
Well, actually, I agree doon sa point of view mo, sir. Kasi when we talk about a principle of recency, just like what I've mentioned a while ago, yung principle of recency is usually very important pagka meron kang hypothesis, sir. Kasi hypothesis are findings, eh. The findings which should be which should be recent kasi baka na-outdate na niya ang dating hypothesis, no? Especially if you're trying to prove or disprove sa isang bagay. Pero when it comes to establishing doon sa authority, sir, yung nabanggit mo, halimbawa, sir, sa amin sa language, no, matagal na si Chomsky. Pero hanggang ngayon, importante sa amin si Chomsky, no? Pero si Chomsky, meron siyang mga predecessors na probably meron silang na-add na value doon sa work ni Chomsky, kagaya ni Krashen. Ganyan. So anong ibig kong sabihin, sir? It doesn't necessarily mean na ang pinaka-recent ay si Krashen, parang echepuera na si Noam Chomsky. Kasi wala namang Krashen kung walang Chomsky. Nagigets mo ako, Sir Kevin? Kasi feeling ko English major si Sir Kevin, eh.
Yes, sir. I'm an English major po.
So yun yung sa Mustakas, sir, most probably hindi mo siya tatanggalin, no? Pero you include Mustakas and also include yung recent kasi baka meron ding contribution si Tamayo na very recent. Pero hindi ibig sabihin echepuera si Mustakas, sir.
O kaya pwedeng sir, yung parang si Tamayo, para kasi ngang naging dating nung isang tinutulungan kong nagre-research sa isang university, parang ang dating nung pag-uusap nila ni Professor X, gusto niya na si Tamayo ang gamitin dahil 2021 si Tamayo. Pero siguro si Tamayo, sinasite din niya ng kahit papaano, meron makikita mo pa rin si Mustakas kay Tamayo. So kumbaga parang ang sinasabi mo dito, win-win solution. Nakuha mo yung gustong mangyari ni Professor X na dapat pasok sa 10 years dahil matigas ang pagkakaintindi niya sa 10 years. And at the same time, naisama mo pa rin si Mustakas sa kwento kahit hindi siya directly ang sinight mo, no sir? Parang ganun po ba?
Kasi sir, possible na wala namang Tamayo kung walang Mustakas, eh. Ba't mo naman didisregard si Mustakas? Pero yung recency, sir, yung naunang sinabi ko, yung premise ko, pagka dating sa hypothesis, sir, yung findings, importante yung latest. Halimbawa na lang, sir, sa survey, no? Sa population, kapag ka nag-cite ka ng population ng 2010, 2020 na ngayon, natural lang pupunta ka sa 2020 when it comes to population. Hindi naman yung bilang ay stagnant lang for 10 years. So yun yung punto. Halimbawa, if variables concern sa hypothesis, if gender and academic performance, yun ang nabanggit nila for the last 10 years, baka ang definition nila ng gender ay male and female lang, baka possible nang pumasok ang LGBTQ kasi pagdating sa research, when we talk about of gender, sex ang term natin because we are only particularly referring to the physiological structure of a person. Pero baka pati yung pagiging gender identity ay meron na palang kinalaman sa sa academic performance when it comes to this very recent years. So yun yung kumbaga, sir, sa hypothesis particularly, sir. One more thing about hypothesis na hindi ko nabanggit, sir. Ang practice natin sa statistics kasi usually null hypothesis, there is no No? Yun lagi ang automatic. Kahit na ang sinasabi ng existing studies ay there is a relationship. Yun yung isang ano doon. I don't know kasi sa statistics, hindi naman ako nakikipag-argue doon dahil hindi naman ako statistician. But I'm just sharing that when you take a position sa iyong paper, usually you hypothesize, dapat meron siyang supporting literature din, a related study na either ano siya, agree sa'yo or hindi agree sa'yo, dapat meron. At dapat yung support na kukunin mo, recent siya. Hindi yung 10 years ago. Pagdating sa hypothesis, sir, ha? Pero pagka mga authority sa ganitong field, you do not ignore yung mga giants. Sabi ni Sir Adrian kanina, we are just merely standing on the shoulder of the giants. Kasi yun nga yung nabanggit natin eh. Giant si Mustaka sa ganong field, banggitin naman natin siya. Kumbaga, kung meron mang bago, edi banggitin mo rin. Pero wag mong i-chepuera dahil Como 19 kopong-kopong yung nakita, i-ignore mo na. So, meron tayong ano doon, sir, parang exemption to the rule pagdating sa principle of recency.
Sir, let me read po yung sinabi ni Doc Koy. Remedy may be Mustaka's 1990 as cited in Tamayo 2021 to make it look more recent. I think, sir, ito yung secondary citation na tinatawag. Tama po ba?
Yes, it is po. Magkaiba ang secondary citation sa two works that you are citing. Ako sir, ang position ko, you cite them both. You cite Mustakas, then semicolon, then kasi meron kang work na sinusundan. Pwede mo silang banggitin. Yung especially if meron ka pang access doon sa old work ni Mustakas, pwede i-cite mo silang parehas. Pero yung secondary citation, usually yung mga luma, sir, wala ka ng access doon at nabasa mo na lang yun sa bagong works ni Tamayo, pwede kang mag-secondary citation nun. Kasi as much as possible, we avoid secondary citation. We should be always primary sources. Sa pagdating sa principle of publication, sir, kasi sa training namin sa ASTR, ganun ang kumbaga principle na dapat sundin pagdating sa quality assurance. Yan, sir.
Sir KV, last na lang po. Okay po
Yes,
ba,
yes,
Sir
yes,
Adrian? Sige po.
Okay
Ito
lang
po
po
kasi
ako,
mga
sir.
naririnig-rinig ko lang, baka yung iba ay nahiya nilang itanong. Justifiable ba ang justification halimbawa ni student? Halimbawa ang topic niya ay natural, it's something unique, novel, at wala pang masyadong gumagawa. So, since related literature and studies ang pinag-uusapan natin, dun sa part na yon nakita ng professor niya na napaka-konti ng mga sinite niyang related lit. Halimbawa, 3 or 4 lang. So, nag-comment ngayon si Professor X. Ang sabi ni Professor X ay bakit konti naman ng mga related lit mo, kasi 'di ba minsan nakakatsyempo ka ng professor panel, nakabilang yan, napakatigas din ng ano nila pag sinabi nilang 20, 30 ganito. Halimbawa 4 lang ang pinresent ni student, tapos ang justification niya kaya po 4 lang sila halimbawa ay precisely dahil wala pang maraming nag-aaral ng study na ito. Kaya po konti lang sila. Palagay mo, sir, ano yon? Justifiable yung ganong ano? I mean, makakatayo ba yung mga ganong justifications na pag sinabi sa'yo ng estudyante, halimbawa? Kaya nga konti because precisely dahil wala pang masyadong nag-delve sa study na yon. Kaya konti lang kaya wag kang maghanap ng marami. Parang yun yung pinakasagot, kaya ganoon. Kayo po, sir, ano pong masasabi niyo doon?
Dalawang bagay po, sir, kasi na-encounter nga natin yan that when they see our paper, lalo na pag manipis, sir, parang ang ano nila dapat makapal, sir, no? As an advisor, ako po sa experience ko when I advise, I do not reluctantly tell my advisee na ang konti ng literature study mo without providing additional. Anong ibig ko pong sabihin, sir? When you say kaunti, na pag sinabi mong kaunti, ibig sabihin may alam ka pang iba na wala doon sa papel. Ewan ko po kung nagigets mo yun, sir, no? Pagka sinabi mong kaunti, meaning meron kang hinahanap doon na wala. So, para lang sa justice, sir, dapat tulungan din natin as advisor, tulungan din natin yung student na maghanap ng literature, at least telling them, hanapin mo yung ganitong work ni ano, or ni ano, ganito. well, I'm very idealistic, no? Pero kumbaga, what is ideal is not always the practice anyway. Pero at least we could talk about that when we advise our advisee na kulang ang literature review mo, o wala yung work ni ganito, pwede mong idagdag to, hanapin mo sa ganito. Kung wala pa rin yung ano, kasi ang trabaho naman talaga kasi ni researcher, maghanap, no? Pero as an advisor, we have to assist yung student.
Parang i-direct mo siya sa ano yung exactly nahanap mo, no, sir? Sabi mo nga, but in reality, mas madalas yung nanghihingi tayo, nagpapapasa tayo, pero hindi natin exactly sinasabi ano yung hinahanap natin, no? Parang meron din akong isang ganyan na tinutulungan din. Kulang pa raw ang literature niya, kulang pa daw, dagdagan pa raw. Yun lang ang sinabi, pero hindi naman sinabi exactly ano ang idadagdag pa. Basta't ang sinabi, konti pa ang literature.
Kasi pag sinabi mong kulang, alam mo yung buo, sir. 'Di ba? Merong wala doon. Kaya para bang if you contradict to a certain suggestion, you do not actually oppose without a parang resolution. Kasi nag-oppose ka, ano naman ang suggestion mo? Dapat laging ganon. Meron namang punto, sir, na talagang wala, sir. Kasi ano siya, bago talaga, may novelty talaga yung paper. Na usually, yun yung mga breakthrough studies na tinatawag, sir. No, pag breakthrough, yun yung nagko-contribute ng bago sa field of interest. Na as an advisor, ideally speaking po, talagang dapat if tatanggap ka ng advice at alam mo ang topic, you should also indulge yourself to that study. Anyway, at the end of the day, para ka na rin co-author doon, di ba, when you publish the paper. So it would be a justice as well kung tutulong ka doon sa paper at least, no? So, ewan ko po kung nasasagot ko yung punto mo, sir. Ang punto ko lang is pag nagsabi ang isang panel or researcher na kulang to, at least naman provide yung alternative. Ano po ba yung nawawala na hinahanap ninyo? Kung possible yung ganon. So, yun kasi ang justice para sa akin, sir.
Nasasagot nyo naman, sir. Nasasagot. Actually, natutuwa po ako sa mga insights po sa paraan ng pagsagot ninyo. Parang nare-realize ko na itong speaker natin ito na sumasagot sa mga tanong natin ngayon ay talagang parang mga naranasan niya, na-experience niya talaga yung mga hindi man ganoon ka 100% but siguro yung mga ano ay talagang naranasan niya itong kaya ganoon ang pagsagot niya. Halimbawa yung pagsagot mo kanina nung justified ba, sabi ko kung ganito ang tanong ng bata o kaya ang sinagot ng bata sa tanong ng professor, yung sinabi mo na pag humihingi tayo ng something sa ina-advise natin, i-guide din natin sila, wag lang bigay ng bigay. Kaya nga ano yun, nakakatulong talaga. Thank you so much po, sir.
Kumbaga, sir, effective itong sasabihin ko. Kaya ganun, sir, yung sinasabi ko. We are in the organization wherein we are promoting to embrace the culture of research. Usually, kaya natotrauma ang maraming nagre-research, it's because of us. Yun yung nagiging problema. So, as much as we should actually make the students fall in love with research by giving them what is due to them. Hindi yung makakomment lang tayo when we do the presentation, minsan kasi ganun, nagiging pretentious tayo na kahit hindi man natin binasa yung manuscript, we comment na dagdagan mo to, ganyan. Meron pong ganung mga instances. Kaya minsan natotrauma ang mga estudyante po natin. So kasi yun ang dissertation ko ngayon, sir, it's about teaching research. Ang gap ko kasi, more of the studies na nakita ko so far ay more of conducting research. Pero seldom ang teaching research. Magkaiba kasi hindi automatic na marami ka ng research ay pwede ka ng research teacher. Yun ang parang nakita ko dun, sir. Hindi naman tapos ka ng MA, ng doctorate, pwede ka ng research teacher. Kasi ang practice natin sa DepEd, kung sino ang may graduate school degree, yun ang nilalagay natin agad doon. So we are hoping to improve that condition, na magkaroon talaga tayo ng program in terms of content, experience, and pedagogy. Kaya nga medyo nag-share ako, sir, ng pedagogy. Kasi importante ding aspects na tignan din natin yung pedagogy sa research. Yun, sir.
Maraming salamat po, sir. Thank you po.
Sir, let me read some comments here. According to Dr. Coy, unfortunately, there are schools that require a certain number of sources which they equate to extensive review of literature. Pag marami, impression mas extensive. Tama, pag sinabing kulang, you must know that what will make it complete. According naman po kay Sir Audric Licaros, hi Doc Speaker, do we have required number of cited literatures so that we can say na okay na ang literature ng study?
Sir, I'd like to address Aldrich this way. Kasi si Aldrich, I am not sure if he is asking as a DepEd teacher or he is asking as a graduate school teacher. I would like to draw the line between the research culture of the higher education, which is academic research, and our research in the Department of Education na when we talk about of action research kasi, ang number of literature sa training ko sa US, sir, when we had our training, ang literature review is not really that extensive as compared to academic research. Kasi sa academic research, we are contributing to the existing body of knowledge. Yun ang punto kasi ng academic research, to contribute, no? Kaya kailangan talaga extensive ang reading pagdating sa academic research. Sa action research naman, we are trying to improve our practice, resolve our problems within our organization, and we do not really care so much. Kung akong tatanungin, sir, ha, we do not really care so much doon sa literature review. I care so much doon sa sasabihin ng tao na nakaka-experience ng problem natin sa school, either student, teacher. Sila kasi ang bida pagdating sa action research. Kaya nga, nabanggit ko kanina, action research is qualitative in approach, no? Though we do method, magkaiba naman ang method sa methodology. Magkaibang ibig sabihin nun ng method at methodology. There are philosophical assumptions that we have to consider whenever we choose our methodology or our design. Hindi lang siya basta kung number ang data, kung words ang data, hindi ganon. We also have to consider yung, kumbaga ano yung view of reality natin, yung tinatawag na ontology, pati yung epistemology. Yan po siya. So kung si Sir, baka hindi ko nasagot yung tanong niya, meron po bang required ng cited? We have to really read a lot kung ako po yung tatanungin. Pagdating sa academic po, ha, academic research sa graduate school, we really have to read a lot. Pero pag action research po, ako po as a mentor po ng teacher, I just say pwede na ang 5. 5 local, 5 foreign kung minimum ang pinag-uusapan. Pero the more the better. Kumbaga, the more entries, the more chances of winning. Parang ganon.
Hello. Hello, Doc. Thank you so much. Actually, I'm talking with the both academic and action research. Kasi in our division, hindi po kami so much doon sa literature. Tama yung 5, 2 or 3. Pero in academic research, yun yung tinanong ko po.
Sir, sa academic research, dapat po talaga marami. Sa university kung saan po ako nag-aaral ngayon, ang minimum po nila sa amin ay 10. 10 local, 10 foreign. Minimum po yun. Pero kung meron pang pwedeng idagdag, dapat dagdagan po yun. Ganun, especially kung dissertation, no? Kaya nga tawag sa atin doctor, di ba? Pagka nag-graduate ka ng dissertation mo, doctor, because you are curing something in your field. Hindi ka naman tatawagin doktor na walang kinukure. Nag-cure ka ng problem, nag-fill in ka ng gap of knowledge sa field of interest mo or sa major. Ganun po siya. Kaya kailangan po extensive. Kung nag-aaral po kayo sa isang institution, sir, siguro diretso, tanong nyo na, ilan po bang minimum na required po ninyo para maliwanag? Ganun, pwede nyo pong siguro itanong yun. Pero hindi po natin i-standardize yun, sir, kasi minsan meron tayong institutional policy na wala naman tayong magagawa kundi sumunod sa kanila po, sir.
Thank you, Doc.
Sir Kevin, mag-share lang ako sana regarding dun sa sinabi ni Dr. Licaros. Si Dr. Licaros kasi maswerte tayo, yan ang ating research coordinator sa Schools Division Office of Cotabato. Kaya siguro ang pinanggagalingan niya ay basically dumadaan sa kanya yung mga paper na ng mga sa buong division nila na dinadala pa nila sa region para for purposes of funding, di ba? Yung tinatawag nating PRP or yung dating birth funding. Tama po yun. I agree with him also. Usually, halimbawa sa mga classroom-based action research coming from DepEd po, no? Ang sinasabi nila, naku, konti lang ang kailangan mong literature dyan. Huwag mong pakarami, action research lang yan sa classroom. Pero I find that a little ironic kapag ni-review mo ang research management guidelines kung paano nila i-re-review for purposes of approval ng funding, extensive naman ang hinihingi. Pero pag nasa baba ka, nasa mga schools, ang sasabihin sa'yo, action research madali lang yan kapag binomotivate ang mga guro na mag-conduct ng action research. Konting related literature lang ang kailangan mo dyan. Pero yun nga, ako kasi binabasa ko rin yung mga mismong galing sa region. Pag tinignan ko naman yung sa region kung paano nilang i-assess ang paper, paano nilang i-scorean para masabing yes, okay siya for PRP or birth funding, ano naman siya, inconsistent sila. Ganoon. Yun lang po. Thank you po, sir.
Sir, ma-share ko sa curriculum guide ng senior high school students, it only requires 3 to 5 kung di ako nagkakamali. Sa curriculum guide, sir, sa inquiry, 3 eyes, kung makikita mo dun, sir, at least 3 to 5. Kaya ako, ang ginagawa ko, sir, sinasabi ko agad sa students, ang minimum ay 5. Pero ang lowest score ang makukuha mo agad doon. Parang tinaterrorize ko na. I mean, kaya ko sinasabi yun, at least kung makalima ka man lang, pasado ka na doon sa minimum, no? Pero kung gusto mong mataas na grade, dagdagan mo. Yan. Kanang mag-set sa pedagogy ulit to, sir. Mag-set ka ng para bang ranges mo, sir.
Tama po.
Pero doon sa ano, sir, sa region, sir, kaya ako nababanggit sa action research, minimum agad 5. Minsan, at least marami na kasi yung 5 pagdating sa action research. Biro mo, sir, 5 local, 5 foreign, that's already 10. Diba? So kung titingnan mo, sir, kahit pa paano maglalaban na yon pagdating sa birth. So, kung gusto man nilang dagdagan, at least kaunti na lang siguro, sir.
Ako kasi, sir, ang sinasabi ko sa mga estudyante ko, tsaka sa ibang mga tinutulungan ko, damihan mo yung related literature and studies mo, tambakan mo. Pag nagbabasa niyan, napagod na, hindi na babasahin yan, sigurado mataas na ang grade mo. Hindi, biro lang po, sir. Thank you po.
Nakamute ka po, Sir Adrian. You're on mute.
Sinabi ko rin yun dati, sir, dun sa student, pero I was just actually cracking a joke. Pero para nga hindi tayo mapagod, sir, ako na sinasuggest ko yung ganitong template. Itong template pa lang na to, alam ko na kung totoo yung reference o hindi. Tapos alam ko kung talagang yun yung laman nung ano. Mag-sampling ka lang, sir, ng 1, 2 hanggang 5. I saw a question here from Julie Burt. Sir, ano po ang difference ng ACAD research sa experimental research? Sabi dito, academic research po ay umbrella. Kung akong tatanungin, these are studies conducted sa mga universities, higher education, which could be in the form of descriptive, correlational, experimental, ganun po siya. Depende pa yung kung true experimental or quasi-experimental. So, pwede yon. Hindi, kumbaga, umbrella po ang academic research. When we talk about of academic research, these are studies conducted in the higher education institution. Ang experimental research is a specific design that may be conducted by higher education researchers. Applied po siya. Kasi ang experimental research po, sa totoong experimental hard science, doon po ginagamit siya, pero pwede rin naman siya sa social science. No? Ang ano lang dyan is they aim to generalize the data sa experimental research. Yun. What's the difference between related studies and related literature? According to Reggie Fabro. Hindi ko po alam kasi kung sir or ma'am, kaya pasensya na po kung first name basis. Ang literature po usually talks about content, no? That's according to Dr. Sikat po ng Tarlac State University. When we talk about of related studies, yung findings and methods ang focus po natin doon. What were the findings so far? Yan. Ano ang mga methods na ginagamit sa pag-study ng ganitong topic? Ganun po ang related studies. Pag related literature, usually we define, we explicate or explain issues regarding variables. Ganun po, content siya. Ganun po siya. Agree po kay Ma'am Josephine. Helpful naman po na marami lit. Tama po yan. Kung ako po ang tatanungin, pagka truthfully ginawa mo ang literature review at marami siya, it really, yung study mo, tataas ang research value. Kasi naano mo lahat ng existing study, you contribute pag nagkakakanda ka ng study. The reason we are only setting po yung mga minimum na yan dahil maraming mga nagkakandak talaga ng research is mairaos ang paper. Pero sa mga true researchers talaga, we really do that extensive reading. Ferocious talaga dapat tayong mga reader. And ewan ko po kung na-satisfy ko ang question ni Julie Burt and also Reggie Fabro. How do constructs in the literature be developed so that our literature is enough?
Do we still have questions po?
Wala na po.
Nabasa ko yung comment ni Ma'am Koy. I definitely agree 1,000%. Kaya nga pag sinabi mo sa advice mo na kulang ang literature review mo, ibig sabihin nagkukulang ka rin as advisor. Ako po, yun yung ewan ko po kaya marami pong mga researchers particularly sa graduate school ang nagiging negative ang perception ng this is according to study na na-review ko po, hindi ko po galing sa akin to. It is because of the lack of lack of support or intimate time ng mentor ng researcher. Kaya nawawalan silang ganang mag-research. Yun po ang isa sa nakita ko sa study.
Okay po. I think, Sir Adrian, wala na pong tanong. Thank you very much for very wonderful and very informative discussion about qualitative research. So let me share my screen again. Ma'am Koy, okay na po ba ang audio niyo? Dr. Koy, okay na po ba yung audio niyo? If not po, I will just read your message for the welcome address before we move to the presentation of the certificate of Sir Adrian Tamayo. So let me share my screen again. Okay, let me share my screen. So, ito po yung message ni Dr. Maria Corazon D. Segismundo. A pleasant evening to each and everyone. We are now on the third of a 9-series session of webinars on qualitative research. Tonight, our honored lecturer will discuss on a very salient topics on selection and citation of relevant literature, as well as the manner of synthesizing information and writing coherent review of such. Related literature, the powerhouse of research, and its extensive review is the secret to research novelty. Chris Hart, 1999, defined literature review as the use of ideas in the literature to justify the particular approach to the topic, the selection of methods, and demonstration that this research contributes something new. And yet, this part of the research paper is oftentimes thought of just a mere collection of summaries of research papers on an expounded, annotated list of various research manuscripts. Further, relevant literature are at the heart of any study, which is a continuous journey from title conceptualization through even before publication. Your Levy and Timothy J. at least 2006, have described this characteristic of review of literature as sequential steps of methodological analysis and synthesis of quality literature to provide a firm foundation to a topic, selection of methods, and demonstration that the proposed research contributes something new to the overall body of knowledge. Through the literature, to the initiatives of ETCOR Research Educational Center, we are all provided with the needed capacity to conduct our scientific papers. ETCOR can be likened to a ship on which we are all aboard, journeying continuously to better our craft, enabling us to explore various methods and techniques, widening our viewpoints on discovering new concepts and research landscapes. Tonight, the secret to research novelty will once again be unlocked. The door to great new insight will once again be open for you to be able to contribute to the vast sources of new ideas and new knowledge, which is the main purpose of the research. With that, I formally welcome you all to the session. May our good Lord be gracious upon us today and always, and thank you. So thank you very much on behalf of Mom Coy or Dr. Coy. Thank you very much for that wonderful message. And now let's proceed to the awarding of certificate. Let me read the content. Certificate of recognition to Adrian P. Tamayo, LPT, MAEd, for his invaluable time and expertise as a research speaker in the national webinar on qualitative research of ETCOR Educational Research Center held on June 16 and 30 and July 14, 2021, and conducted under the advocacy project Sagip Mananaliksik for Everyone. So let's give Sir Adrian P. Tamayo a virtual clap. Thank you very much, Sir Adrian P. Tamayo. And before we move to the closing message, I would like to remind again that we have accounts that we could use these platforms to share our insights about research. So we have Twitter account. We also have the Facebook account of ETCOR and the YouTube account, and as well as the Instagram account. And if you want to purchase a t-shirt of the ETCOR, so this is the information and the price of the t-shirt. And if you have questions about ETCOR, this is the contact detail. Now, to give us the closing message, let me call Mom Ailene Mae L, Perez, LPT, English teacher, and Manuel Roxas A High School.
Hello, good evening. Thank you very much, Sir Kevin, for the intro. So, reference to our theme this evening, living, loving, and exploring, doing qualitative research as an avenue to meaningful existence. Let me start with this line, or I rather say question. Para saan nga ba ang research? Well, to our dear student researchers, participants of this webinar, research is everywhere. I always say to my students, from your simple stalking moves to know your crush better, up to the developments and innovations to improve quality of life. Research yan. Our highly proficient speaker this evening opened doors to possibilities, offered rooms for understanding, and gave us a spark of hope that research is something that we should not be afraid of. As we harvest our related studies and along the way meet the giants of wisdom and knowledge, we realize that research explores, research embraces differences, and research unites people and ideas. Because at the end, research is not just only a pursuit for knowledge, but a passion or a way to understand our society. And from there, produce a product or ideas that can benefit our society. Some of you may have heard about the newly discovered sign language interpretation device research developed through research. From a simple research turned into a useful and helpful device to help our differently abled friends. Understanding rocket science, understanding humanity, how this and that works, all made possible through research. Dear friends and student researchers, have faith in everything that you do. Please know that your ideas matter. Keep, keep in mind also that complacency is deadly. Go out of your comfort zone. Ask questions. Dig deeper on issues. Be brave to discover the unknown. And be excited to meet the giants of research. Before I end my closing remarks, I would like to give you these parting words. As I said a while ago, research explores, unites, embraces. Research also humbles us. The more you understand, the more life humbles you. Our country needs inquisitive minds, game changers, policymakers, and servant leaders. And so, student researchers, you are the hope of this country. Explore and embrace research. That is why ETCOR is here to serve you and help you understand what is the real essence of research. May the good Lord bless us always, and may the odds be always in our favor. Have a blessed evening. Thank you very much for joining this event. Thank you po.
Thank you, Mom Ailene Mae L. Perez, for that very inspiring and wonderful message. And the evaluation link is already posted on the comment section. And if you want to join EdCore, the information is already posted on the comment section. And if you have further question, you can just ask us, PM us at the Facebook account of EdCore. And I just want to say thank you very much for this wonderful discussion of qualitative research. Thank you for our very knowledgeable speaker for today. Of course, also, I would like to thank Dr. Coy for a very wonderful message, as well as Ma'am Ailene and all the participants of this webinar. Thank you very much.